Why, hello again. Uncle Mike here. Would you like to read a book with me? Today we're going to learn about Ruby Bridges, who at 6 years old made history. What did she do to become so famous? Let's find out. Ruby Bridges by Denise Rinaldo. Ruby Bridges, born 1954. The year was 1960. Clutching her mother's hand on one side and a federal marshal's hand on the other, 6-year-old Ruby Bridges marched bravely up the steps of the William Frantz School in New Orleans, Louisiana. The school was surrounded by a crowd of angry protesters chanting racist slurs at her. Until that day, New Orleans had segregated, which means separate, schools for blacks and whites. When Ruby walked through that school door, she became one of the first black children in the South to attend the same public school as white children. Her courage helped change America. Wow, it seems so weird today, right? When everybody's together. A historic decision. On May 17, 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court handed down its decision in a case called Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas. In a 9-0 vote, the court ordered an end to segregation in public schools. A few months after that historic ruling, Ruby Nell Bridges was born in Tylertown, Mississippi. Ruby's parents were living on a cotton farm, where they worked hard but earned very little money. The day before Ruby's birth, her mother was in the fields, carting a 90-pound load of cotton on her back. In search of a better life, the Bridges family moved to the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. When Ruby was old enough for school, her parents enrolled her in an all-black public kindergarten. That year, 1959, a federal court judge ordered New Orleans to follow the Supreme Court's 1954 ruling by immediately ending its practice of segregating schools by race. The following spring, all of the city's African American kindergartners took a test to see who would go to an integrated, which means mixed race, school in the fall. Ruby passed the test, and she was one of 6 African American children chosen to integrate the schools. Ruby and 2 other black students were slated to attend the all-white William Frantz School. The other 3 were to attend a different white school. At the last minute, however, the 2 children who were to join Ruby at the William Frantz backed out. She would be integrating the school on her own. Wow. In a class by herself. On the morning of November 14, 1960, federal marshals showed up at Ruby's door. They had come to keep Ruby and her mother safe on their way to school. Ruby had no idea what she was about to face. Her mother had told her only that she was going to a different school, and that there might be a crowd of people there. Ruby, her mother, and the marshals pushed through a crowd of angry, insulting protesters and made their way to the principal's office. Ruby sat there all day, watching as white parents arrived to take their children out of the building because they did not want them attending school with a black child. The next day, the marshals took Ruby and her mother to school again. The crowd was even bigger and angrier. This time, however, a young white woman met Ruby and her mother at the door. She was Barbara Henry, Ruby's teacher. She kindly led Ruby to the classroom. It was empty, but Mrs. Henry held class anyway, for Ruby alone. For most of that school year, Ruby was the only student in Mrs. Henry's class. Most of the other children were kept home by their parents. The few first graders who did attend had been placed by the principal in a different class. Not many first graders would have had the courage to face down angry protesters without tears or to attend school with no friends. Ruby Bridges did have it. She did not back down, not once. She did not miss a single day of school that year. Ruby's strength paid off. When she returned to William Frantz for 2nd grade, there were no protesters, and she attended class with other children, some black, some white. Thanks to Ruby and the 3 children who had integrated the other school, segregated education in New Orleans was coming to an end. Ruby Bridges went on to become a travel agent. She married and had 4 sons. She rarely talked about her role in helping to end segregation. When her brother was killed in the early 1990s, however, Ruby looked back on her own life. She realized that what she had done was important. She now runs the Ruby Bridges Foundation, an organization that helps poor children receive a better education. She also travels throughout the country, giving speeches about her experiences. Ruby hopes that people who hear her story will be inspired to find the courage to work through injustice whenever they see it. Our Ruby taught us all a lot, said Lucille Bridges, Ruby's mother. She became someone who helped change our country. She was part of history, just like generals and presidents are part of history. They're leaders, and so was Ruby. She led us away from hate, and she led us nearer to knowing each other, the white folks and the black folks. Wow, that's powerful, powerful story. What did you think? Whew. Some of the pictures. November 1960, Ruby Bridges, with U.S. Deputy Marshals protecting her from protesters, leaves William Frantz Elementary after a day of school. Wow. Can you imagine? In 1964, Norman Rockwell, a famous illustrator, painted this picture of Ruby Bridges being escorted to school. Its title, "The Problem We All Live With," refers to racism in the United States. One of the U.S. Marshals, Charles Burks, who escorted Ruby Bridges through the mob on her first day of William Frantz School, said this: "She showed a lot of courage. She never cried. She didn't whimper. She just marched along like a little soldier. And we're all very proud of her." I'm proud of her too. And the last picture, Ruby Bridges Hall with Barbara Henry, her first grade teacher, 38 years later. Wow. Let's read about her teacher. Ruby Bridges Hall says that she would not have made it through first grade without the love and support of her teacher, Barbara Henry. Barbara had moved to New Orleans from Boston 2 months before Ruby enrolled at the school. Barbara did all she could to make Ruby's school life normal. Ruby was not allowed to go out for recess or to the cafeteria, so Barbara played jacks with her in the classroom and often sat with her at lunchtime. In 1996, Ruby and Barbara met for the first time in 35 years while taping the Oprah Winfrey Show. Today, Barbara visits the schools, talking about Ruby to let kids know that they too can do very important things and they too can be heroes. Wow, that is a very powerful story to end this book, isn't it? Wow, there's really nothing I could say that this book didn't cover. Ruby is one courageous little girl, isn't she? Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I love this book. I'm so glad we got to read it together. And as always, you can get a copy of this book by clicking on the link below. Alright, that's it for today. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!
Daisy Detective here. Did you like this book? You can get a copy for yourself by clicking on the link below or by visiting your local bookstore or library. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that you will know when new videos are ready. Let Uncle Mike know of your favorite book in the comments below, and he will mention you in the video. You are on your way to becoming a reading genius, and we can't wait to see you again. Bye!